Tehran all across social media. That means IAMTEHRAN. If you don't know how to spell it, ask your girlfriend. She knows. Now here's the thing. I also want to give a special shout out from the panel to all those fallen in service. We thank you for your service to our country, and you gave your lives so that we can live ours. So thank you in honor of Memorial Day.
Outstanding. And the beautiful.
Hey, I'm Joel Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joel Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com, every Wednesday at Schmoes Know.
There you go.
Amazing.
Every Wednesday at Schmoes Know. So tomorrow, tune in, Schmoes Know.
And she also does that thing with the speech. What's the speech thing? What's the speech? Can you do the speech?
You want the whole rundown?
I kind of want the speech thing, because ever since you did that.
Do I have to do it at a certain speed this time?
I mean, just kick it off.
Finish it as fast as you can.
It's fat. Okay. To sit in solemn silence on a deep, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block.
Yeah.
Cheap and chippy chopper.
I thought she was going to finish it with big black cock, but she did it. And that would have deserved even more round of applause. What? I thought.
Well, cheap and chippy chopper on chippy choppy shay. And shout out to our producer doing this thing with the sound effects and the impending input that will happen throughout this episode. You can't see him, but just know he's hilarious
Where do
and
they find
insightful.
Kanisha? Let's throw out a Kanisha.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's Kanisha is Comedy.
Kanisha is Comedy.
At Kanisha is Comedy. Make sure you follow that. She really is comedy. She's got funny videos. She's got great content, and she's very opinionated. Sometimes
She has,
the opinion.
best Instagram. It's so good. It's hilarious. Did you
She
guys see where her
just keeps
zipper
the
broke the other
camera in
day?
her face.
Yes, the
That shit was
zipper broke at the mall.
hilarious. Oh, God.
I'm like, go buy a top. You're
You're
at the
at
mall.
the mall.
Not like you're at a funeral
She
or
loves
you're not at church. Like, you are surrounded in clothes. You won't have to walk very far. Excuse me, can somebody please bring me a, say your size, shirt back here to the dressing room? I just broke my zipper. Boom, you got a shirt.
That's it. And it's at the mall. And I know she wasn't, it's not like she was at Beverly Center. I felt like she was at like Compton Mall in Seattle. Like, that's what I did.
I don't know where she was at.
I just feel. What's the
That dressing room was too small to be Beverly Hills.
What's the Ratchet Mall in Seattle?
There isn't really a Ratchet Mall.
All the malls are not.
All the malls are legit, but there are like strip malls and swap meets that are. There's a place called the B&I in Tacoma. It's one of those like big swap meets that are like all Korean stores, and their claim to fame is like up until like I think 1999. They had
no white people were even allowed on the premise.
It's just that there's plenty of white people there. This is the crazy thing. Like everybody got those pictures taken where the background's all like colorful and cars and all. Everybody had their pictures taken, but they had a gorilla there, a real live gorilla named Ivan. Like he was in one of the units in a cage, and you could feed Ivan the gorilla.
And then someone harambeed him. And now he's
Ivan actually somebody I think like. The Department of Agriculture came in and was like, okay,
We can't be
there's a gorilla in a
You have
mall.
no permit for this. This is some gorilla.
There's a gorilla in the mall.
Whose gorilla is this?
If somebody had a gorilla in the mall.
Someone just had a gorilla.
I feel like his permanent home? Did they take him
I haven't lived
somewhere?
there. The department, whoever came in went and freed Ivan, and he was out there free. They put him in a cage with a couple chicks, and he went out good.
Wow.
I think he had a heart attack.
I'm from D.C. Now, while we didn't have any gorillas in malls, and we did have a lot of background pictures, we did have a situation happen in D.C. once that no one really ever talks about.
Okay.
In Reston, Virginia, which is a very nice place now.
Right.
Right. There was a time where they were housing Ebola virus.
Housing.
They were housing Ebola virus, and they were, examining it like the movie and everything.
Right.
And a bunch of the monkeys escaped, and they just never talked. They burned it down.
Okay.
They burned the building down, and they put a kindercare up and like moved all the extra buildings and made them high-rise apartments, and then just no one's talking about it. But there's an Ebola called Ebola Reston, which exists because of that.
That's strange.
And no one talked about it. Just no one discussed what happened to these monkeys. Like, no one.
They found them all?
No one's ever confirmed nor denied that.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened to them. I doubt that they found all the monkeys. Like, there's just a lot of places to go. And I would assume it's very difficult to find a monkey once the monkey dips.
For sure. Because if you're looking for a human in general, we're like on a certain level, literally a playing field. Like you can see where a human can run. Monkeys can utilize the entire environment like a video game.
Yeah, and there's always going to be some
And you
Michael
can't
Jackson
just
guy
be
that's
by
like,
yourself.
Oh, there's a monkey. I'm going to catch it and keep it in my house.
And you don't want to just be at the end of an alley with a live chimpanzee. They are incredibly strong.
So it's just a thing. So I just never, and I would assume they were chimps. I'm not sure, but they just never talked.
They usually are chimps
It was
for
on
testing.
the news one time, and then they on the second you know how the news repeats? They just pulled that story.
And that one's out of there.
The government came in and said, please don't talk about this anymore.
They're like,
Yeah, we don't need Ebola monkeys on the loose in the Virginia area.
in this area. Yeah,
right.
It's just a nice.
Is it a government facility or a private institution?
Was as far as I remember, it was a private, because we have government contracting a lot. So it was a private facility, but contracted by the government. But see, the thing about Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area, especially that small, is like every senator, every congressman, every federal judge lives in these places.
Right there.
Like Great Falls, Virginia. Great Falls is not a very highly trafficked place. However, at 5 o'clock every day, what happens is from Monday through Friday, traffic going towards Great Falls is just cut. So all the lanes, even lanes going east and west, you can just go to Great Falls for no reason. It's really like only 20 cars on the road.
Wow.
But those 20 cars can get home in 15 minutes, and everyone else is just stuck in traffic. It's very interesting. We live
So people can get home.
So they can get home. It's just so those people can get home.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's smart. I would do it if I was a
I
politician.
mean, of course.
Well, I get home in 20 minutes. I can beat all this LA traffic. Done.
Yeah, that's really what they do. So we get the president drive by all the time. The president stop traffic
all the time.
Doesn't even stop our flow of traffic that much. In LA, it shuts down the city.
Yes.
But for us, it's just so common. Or we would make the wrong turn on purpose sometimes to drive in. You drive into the CIA. We know where the CIA entrances are.
Right.
And they would know who you are before you even got to the gate.
Right.
They would just be like, Mr. Jackson, we're going to need you to turn around.
Right.
Yeah.
They already ran your tags, plates, all of that.
They already know everything about you. And if you did it like more than one, if you were young, they'd call your parents and they'd have to go there and pick you up. But if you did it when you're older, you'd get arrested. It was like a thing.
Yeah, that's the real deal.
It's interesting.
So speaking of potential threats, domestic and international, story number 1. In what was possibly the worst joke of all time, 7th grader Lilith Villanueva was awarded by her teacher, most likely to be a terrorist award. This is by her teacher, Anthony Aguirre, junior high.
No, that's at the Anthony Aguirre.
The school
Junior.
is okay. So that was at Anthony Aguirre Junior High in Channelview, Texas, near Houston. Villanueva is a honor student who has never been in trouble. Was troubled by the award, as were her parents. When they contacted the school, other awards were given for most likely to be homeless and most likely to cry for every little thing award.
And there's actually another award that we'll talk about a little later that was handed out to a young black woman, a young black girl whose name is Sydney, and she got the most likely to be friends with white people or something like that award.
That's what it was. Most likely to blend in.
Blend in with white people, which was, I mean, people were making the point, well, Lilith is El Salvadorian. She's not even Middle Eastern. That's not the point. The point is no one should be getting this award in 7th grade. Like, how did they think this was a good idea? Can someone please explain to me how they thought giving a kid most likely to be homeless was going to be funny? Who is that funny to?
To the teachers, because they hate kids.
No, those teachers must hate kids.
They do. Some teachers do hate kids. Man, you're underpaid. It's a lot of long hours, and some kids are dicks.
Sure, and it wasn't just one teacher. It was apparently 3 teachers.
Oh, really?
That were involved in the scandal. I'm gonna call it because it's a thing. Like, how did they think this was gonna be a good idea? And they gave the child the award. Like, this is the award. This picture that's up. This is the actual award that Elizabeth won. On real letterhead. That's like most likely to become a terrorist.
This is a suburb of Texas, yes.
True, but
yeah,
okay.
I get why they thought this would be funny.
True, it's the state of Juneteenth, where they just decided not to tell the state slaves they were free until someone figured it out. But
that'll be fine. Don't worry about that, kids. Not anything against. I'm not going to go into the things I hate about Texas, but I know that from experience, when you live in a small bubble, a lot of times people just let stuff fly and they forget that the internet is a thing. A lot of the time, unfortunately. And it doesn't surprise me at all that 3 teachers were like, this is going to be hysterical. And they probably gave it to her because she hasn't done anything wrong. They're like, oh, Miss Parent, like, it's totally fine. You know your kid is good. We know it was a joke. But maybe they have not encountered black mothers before.
Well, when it comes to, this is the young lady, Sydney Caesar, and this is the award, which is the most likely to blend in with white people award.
I love her face.
Well, and while it's
Rock
funny,
on, Sydney.
to me, it's funny because it's so not funny. If I don't laugh, I'm going to have to fight someone.
Right.
Like it's funny.
Tragedy.
I'm not gonna lie.
Comedy
I'm
and tragedy walk hand in hand.
Exactly. I'm chuckling this whole time. I'm looking at this like, ha, ha, ha. And especially because I can only imagine she's like, why did I get this award? Like, I just feel like she's got one of those voices. But that's not the point. The point is that these are degrading awards that should never be handed out to children. It's already difficult enough to motivate students into learning. And then you're going to degrade them in front of one another in the name of comedy or jokes, and these aren't jokes. The joke is on the teachers.
Well, it also goes deeper, because why give it to the little black girl? Is it because you think she's angry all the time? Is that she already, are people already seeing her through stereotypical lenses of society? Like, it's just frustrating that she should even have to go through this in the first place. Look at like her little face. Like, she's so hurt and upset by this.
I mean,
she got some
Like,
big
it
hands.
makes me angry.
Do you guys see the size of her hands?
she does.
That's the
have
angle
that
of the
big-
camera.
They should have given her the most likely to climb something high award.
The most likely to
no.
pop
Look at how big
basketball.
her hands are.
Most likely to pop.
Y'all.
Those are grown hands. Those are
This
grown
girl
hands.
has been through enough. Do you have to?
Sydney season. Well, I mean, we're just.
We
pointing
are
things
listen. They are way more out of line than we are. I didn't teach this child. I'm not employed to be her mentor and her role model and to make her a better person. I am a stand-up comic. And if I see
is a
monster
black
hands
little
on a
girl
baby,
who's
I'm
been-
going to say something. Those hands
No.
are big.
They're regular sized hands at a weird camera angle.
No, that's a Seinfeld episode about manhandling.
No, her ring fingertip is as big as that capital S. That is a big hand. They give you something for
I can't believe y'all are gonna drag
proportion.
This little girl through
Okay,
more
well,
shit.
She should have just slapped
So
her teacher
ridiculous.
Those big ass hands.
back in the kindergarten.
Ah.
Yeah, they both would have gotten an award. Most likely to slap your ass.
She got them hands.
Yeah, she got
She got the
literally.
hands. And the booth
Hey,
came through. Ba-bum,
that could be joke of the day.
That
Could be right
We'll
out the
see how it
gate.
makes, but what I'm saying about these awards is these awards. Can we all agree they're inappropriate?
Yeah, but can we all agree that when the child got the award for most likely to cry for every little thing, that was actually
Probably true. That was probably
basically, I can tell by that award alone that this was an attempt at humor. It just failed miserably
It was.
because of the more sensitive awards that they tried to give out. And
And they were racially motivated. They're racially, and it's not like the
Yeah.
kid that got the most likely to blend in with white people award was Ernie, the white kid. It was Sydney, the young black.
well, I'd
man.
like to see the teacher because I like to see, just to see what's the race of the teacher that did this.
They're
Because
the
if this,
teachers-
I mean, does this change the story a little bit if this was a black lady?
See,
No.
that's it's an interesting point because there are times that I find that there are certain stories that come out and then later you realize, wait, that officer that did this was actually Hispanic or was black. There are actually shootings where I've seen and the kid who got shot was white and got shot by a black cop and no one cared, even though the white kid was unarmed. And I can only imagine
I
how
care
their
about
parents, how their parents felt.
I care about that.
You care,
Yeah,
but the
you
media
should.
doesn't typically pick up those stories. It's like a 16-year-old kid was shot in the back of the head while he was handcuffed by a
True.
police officer, but he was white, and people were like, well, that's not really a story because they didn't have enough scandal behind it, despite the fact that a teenager was shot in the head.
Tragedy.
It
And
is
not
tragedy.
funny this time.
No.
Yeah, but in Hollywood, we'd call those headshots.
You want the hey-oh!
Throw it out. Look.
It's tough because you do have to make this is a comedy platform, so these are sensitive topics, of course. I wanted to ask you guys though, switching gears a smidge.
Smidge.
That's my word, baby.
All right.
I wanted to ask you.
We're gonna have to talk to the back. We're gonna have to talk to
no,
engineers.
no.
Spell smidge before you continue.
I'll cut your mic.
Can you spell smidge before you continue? But can you spell smidge?
Yeah, SMIDGE.
I felt like that's the correct
Smidge.
Yeah.
Smidge.
There's no
Don't do it.
CH in there?
There's no J.
Smidge. Smidge.
Smedge.
All right, go ahead.
No, my serious question though is, out of these two awards that we were looking at, which one do you think is more negative or more?
They're
we'll have
both negative.
I know they both are, but could we put
I think the most likely to blend in with white people is more negative.
because of what it's saying?
Because
long-term?
it's saying that A, white is right and everything else has to catch up to it. And secondly, because it's also given to a student of color where with the terrorist award, we can see that maybe at least Lizette was a good student. They were like being sarcastic with it. When it comes to Sydney, they're basically insinuating that she's not black enough. Also, she's not aware of her personal culture. So if there's a separation between black culture and white culture, which exists, and that exists since happens because of academics or vernacular or vocabulary use or punctuation or stature and behavior.
Whatever it is he's quantifying and saying is a white, then that's where he's wrong.
So if it was like most likely to be a terrorist and the person was even of Middle Eastern descent, I'd still think, hey, that's very bigoted and racist.
Right.
However, it doesn't have implications past the racism in which it states. The other award does have an implication that goes past that, just the statement that's made on the award. The implications are very severe. And it says a lot about the person. It says a lot about the person to their classmates. It says a lot about what they think the world is like. And it's just this hierarchy. And
now, what if we had footage of this little girl who got the award for most likely to blend in with white people, and she was hella hood? Could you then see the comedy in that? That she had the best nay in class?
She was just she would be just excellent at that. I would
that she came into class, like when they call roll, right? They're like, Miss Caesar, and she's like, you ugly, you your daddy's son.
Yeah, she was just extra.
Then they gave their award for assimilation. Is there comedy there?
It's situational comedy, and in a movie, I would laugh. That's a real person.
In real life.
Awful.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make it, but it does make it less.
There's comedy in real life.
It makes it less not
Story
funny.
number 4 today. We're going to talk about some real life comedy.
Yeah, less not 4. So, all right, less not racist, if that was the case.
All right, listen. So we're talking about cultural appropriation. Might as well move into it. There it is. Let's let it happen. I'm going to try to hold as still as Joe is.
This isn't even oh, that's crazy. This isn't even the song he was talking about. What's the other song you're talking about? What's the name of that song?
Silento. That's what he just played.
I know, but what's the song you're talking about where he's like, you ugly, you your daddy's son?
It's on the Nuck If You Buck beat.
Yeah, exactly. What is the name of that song, though?
Does it have a name?
It has a name.
It definitely has a name.
It definitely
What's it called?
It has a music video. I couldn't tell you the name of it.
Oh, man.
You can or cannot?
I'd have to think.
You ugly, you your daddy's son.
I just know that
It's
from
on
a
the
Vine
Nuck If You
thing.
Buck beat.
Yeah, it's by just type in
Nuck If You
We're
Buck
gonna get
beat.
this.
We're gonna find. I need to know.
Here's the thing. All the viewers are like, it's like, but we don't know.
Yo, write down below if you know what it is off the bat.
Yeah, leave it in the comments.
Here's the thing. I hate when
And
I
also say
know
if you're
something
ugly and
don't
you're
know
your
it.
daddy's son.
And please let us know that too. Especially if you happen to be female.
Yeah. I'm my daddy's son.
I would just love to hear that. We need to find out because I hate when I feel like I'm getting more stupid every day. I really do.
Young.
I was brilliant at.
She
I was
looked
a
at you
genius
like,
at
and I
17.
agree. I want you to know.
I hope that's not what that
She
was
literally was like,
saying.
debris.
My question
Great,
was,
and
in
I'm
what
still
way?
more genius than everyone on the. But what I'm just saying
Yes.
is, there was a time where I could have been the next Einstein.
I think you need some
That's
echinacea
the thing.
or
Maybe.
something that will fire your synapses
What
a little
else
faster.
helps with? Remember,
Echinacea's pretty strong.
just the other day when I was hosting a show,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of the next comedian, someone I've known for like 5 years.
That's the worst. How'd you play it off?
How did I play it off?
Give it up for this
How
guy.
about I didn't even play it off. How about I was just like, guys, make some noise, and then I got off the stage.
For the next comic. Like that.
Yo, I really
Did he
was
call you
like,
You should have just asked, yo, are we putting in
no. It wasn't. It was.
I just want you to know, this is how you do it now.
Yeah.
Sorry for the lack of professionalism, but I need to know this right quick to know who I'm bringing up next. Are we bringing in the guest spot right now, or just say the name of the next comic?
No.
And then
Because
they'll be
listen,
like,
it wasn't even a situation I could do that.
Judd Apatow.
Have you been to the Long Beach Laugh Factory?
Yes.
Okay, so
Ain't
you
nobody
realize
to ask.
there's
They
nobody
are a
to ask.
football
There's
field
only-
away.
There's only 3 comics, and you stand right there until you go
Right
up.
on the
So
side.
it's not even like I.
So you
couldn't-
looked at
I
him
looked
and drew a
at him
blank.
and just could not. Someone listen. I want to say this is a person who's actually a good friend of mine.
Right.
I just could not remember his name to save my life for that second.
Here's another way you do it. For everybody that comes up here tonight, everyone is a professional comic. They all have TV credits. They all have movies. And one of his that's very important to him and also to me is fleeting my mind right now. Give me just a second. I'm going to ask him what his credit. Yo, what was your government name? Judd Apatow. All right, I'll be right back.
Hold on.
From all the movies that made you laugh,
I couldn't even do
Judd
that.
Apatow.
I couldn't even do that. I couldn't do that.
So what did you say?
I literally just said, guys, make some noise for it. And I took the little wire out the mic and made it look
Hilarious. Look like you said it.
like I said it, but the wire fell off.
Did they notice?
Yeah,
Somebody called
he
you out on it?
definitely brought it. He was just
It
like,
was like, really? You're just going to pull the mic
no,
apart?
he just like, what happened? And I was like, and look, and the funniest thing is that
Came to you right away.
one of the, of course, and I said it from off stage. At like, I was like, oh, I don't know, and then I thought of it. It's happened to me before, where someone forgot my name. I'm like, this is my show. How did you forget my name? And I didn't appreciate it until that moment.
Yeah. The worst is somebody gets your name kind of. I've had people bring me up as Nate Johnson, and I don't even understand.
Yeah, but Nate
There's
Johnson
no
is like,
Johnson.
hey, it's
I
like,
just accidentally called you Nick, and I've known you for like a month and a half. So.
That's Nick. There
See?
you go. Did we find that song, by the way?
Long
No,
as
you didn't tell me which one.
long as
So
when
we
you
don't
say
know the name of
Nick,
the song.
it ends
We're
with an
gonna look
A and not an ER.
Oh my God.
I'm okay with it.
We're good, Nate.
I gotta find.
What's
this
the name
song.
of that song you guys
We're
want
gonna
to
look it up. We're gonna
Go
look
on
it
and
up.
break your legs.
No, that's the other
Break
one.
your legs.
No.
That's in the Silento song. Why don't
Yeah.
you just type in "You Ugly, Your Daddy Son" and it's gonna come up.
Hold on. We're
You
gonna
probably only got to get to the Y and
Here we
ugly.
go. Here we go.
Juju on that beat.
Ah,
I can't believe we forgot the name.
Should you want to be?
How did we forget that?
I need some Echinacea too, and some Ginkgo biloba.
Yeah.
I gotta get these. That was
Juju
on the
on
tip
the
of my
beat.
tongue
Magic
way
words
too
you're
long.
saying.
There it is.
Hey. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. You guys can't see it.
Yeah.
The video is SpongeBob, but it's
I want y'all to
everything
do this dance.
Hey.
Now, juju on that beat.
Hey.
On that beat.
Hey.
On that juju, on that juju.
All right,
on that
cut
beat.
it.
Now
Stop. Hit the folks on stop. No, that's it. No, but like, so this is the thing. That's one of those songs that I don't want to say transcend because it's not like it's a major classic, but it has managed to
It
go
will
from
be.
like driving little kids crazy at barbecues to grown ass college students doing it at step shows.
100%.
That one made it, and it dropped in like what 2015, 2016.
And now
It's been out for a while.
And then it catches on. The other person, dog like a red nose. What was that? Gemini. Sage the Gemini.
Ginkgo biloba
Yeah, Sage the Gemini.
and echinacea.
And his song that was out for like 3 years before. it hit.
GNC has a new blend of like herbs and
Oh
things,
my
and it's
gosh.
literally called Brain Formula. And I will honestly say, I took one, and then I went to an improv audition, and I was on fire.
Really?
It could have just been orange juice inside the pill, and placebo
It was a
affected me.
placebo effect.
But I was like,
But
there was
you
no
don't have a hard
moments
time-
like this. There was
you
no.
don't have a
It was
hard time
juju on the beat. Like I knew right away.
remembering everyone's names. We meet a lot of people.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I hate when people quiz.
The average person is, you're only supposed to be able to remember somewhere between 100
She
to
said you can be
150.
friends with.
200 people.
Up to 200 at the most, which is why
That's
communities
laughable.
and villages are like, that's about
about the
what
size.
it's shaped. Yeah. And church organizations, they keep it, you know.
I saw about 1,500 to 2,000 people over Memorial Day weekend alone,
and I just had to
just
know
from
all their
stopping
names.
at barbecues and yeah.
And I had to remember, like, I wear my name on my hat. I think it's a practice we
And
should
we're
all
probably
start.
messing up that pattern even more as the years go by because we're trying to like social media and DM people and email
Right.
people. It's
Exactly.
like if Joel made a stat, what 200 is all you could retain. Man, it's got to be almost less than that because we've excelled to like learn so many things about each people's lives.
Right. And not only that, there's people who you recognize from social media, and that's an alias. So you're like, what up, Splack? And that's not his real name. What up, Batch? That's not, you know what I'm saying?
If I call you by your screen name, you can't get offended. You named yourself that. Like, I don't have time.
Yeah, if
to
your name's like
remember
official
names.
something or I am or yo.
If we bump
Yo
into each other
Tehran,
at church,
yeah.
I'm not calling you Juicy Long Titty.
I will.
So no.
Nipples and toes 23.
There it
Nipples
is.
and toes
And they both
23.
touch.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, but so, you know, really like because I'm on social media a lot, like I'll be at a function and there'll be a few people there, whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to remember this guy's government because I'm not finna just call him.
100%. It's just tough. But
You know
I
what I'm
don't-
saying?
what I do is
I'm not
Hi.
finna be calling nobody king
Hey,
the
you.
thing that I hate the most is
and
if
Mister.
I introduce him to you, and then you're like, "Oh, what's up, bro?" And then keep walking. I'm like, "Yo, I introduced him to you because
I
need to
needed that
hear
name.
that
Exactly.
name. I know you.
Nate Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam Goodman. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I don't care who it is. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you know Nate? This is my really good friend.
I
Hey,
would
I'm
stand
Nate.
right
What's your
there and stop people until I get that name out of them.
name? Yeah.
All you have to do is ask them to put their. Well, if you don't have that person's phone number yet, just be like, I just need to put you in my phone and get their number.
Yeah, that works until
then-
you should know it. And they're like, it's me. It's
Then
me,
I just
fool.
never say your name. Like
Then
I
put
just,
your
I will
number
just be
in.
patiently waiting for someone to drop it, It'll be fine. You can get through at least 6 conversations without having to drop somebody's name.
I tried that, and the person took my phone and entered their phone number and handed it back. Did not fill in the blanks for name because it was like I should know.
I already slept with her like 26 times.
That was a guy in Paul.
The slip is not asking them their name, but asking them how they spell their name.
Right, and they're like, it's Joe.
That's okay. I don't know. People have crazy ass spellings. Or I meant your last name, Joe.
That's
you
so
don't
cliche. People know you don't. If somebody
Okay.
asks me how to spell Nate, I'm like, fam, you didn't know it.
Yo, there are people, especially in the entertainment business, people are very sensitive.
They sure
you have
are.
to be aware of that. They get very hurt if you don't know their name or show them enough love or don't say hi to them, or even they think that they're in a higher stature than you, so you need to go over to them to say hi. And if you don't, and if you just, you know exactly what I'm referring to and the people that I'm referring to. There are a lot of politics in this game. So you need to know as many people's names. And that's one of the classic characteristics of Bill Clinton.
Slightly familiar with what they're doing.
Yeah, and
That's
Bill
true.
Clinton was apparently able to remember everyone's name. Now, was there an advisor that went around whispering names?
Right.
And I don't know, but he was able to shake people's
This
hands
next
and know
one is
everyone's names.
Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Monica. Nice.
I wasn't gonna remember her name. Yeah, so it's hard.
Slurp, slurp.
Names is hard. A lot of people do mnemonic devices and stuff. If there's somebody I really want to know, like make sure I remember, when they tell me their name, I'll say it back to myself and I'll like pinch my hand, hoping the pain associates a memory.
I pinch my hand when I say it. That's funny.
I don't know if it works.
I don't know either.
'Cause I'm like, hey, hand pinch, how you doing? Like, I'll remember that more than the name. Yeah. So speaking of crazy names, we're gonna move into story
and
number 2.
crazy awards. I can't believe those awards. Basically, we agreed the awards sucked. Go on.
Yeah, they're trash. Now, leave it in the comments about if you agree with the awards, if you think they were humorous at all, or if you're ugly and you're your daddy's son. Now, Demi Lovato, crazy name, makes no promises when it comes to cultural appropriation, as many are accusing her in the new video, No Promises, in which the singer dons what looks like dreads for the post-apocalyptic video theme. Lovato tweeted in response to social media naysayers that they are, quote, twists, not dreads, relax. When more critics attacked, she simply wrote in response, by the way, they looked effing rad anyway.
I mean,
Let's play this video. See, so you can cut the video. Okay, cut the video. So, I think that cultural appropriation is a very real problem. I also think that at the same time, there's 2 things. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. And just because you're offensive doesn't mean you're right either. Given that, I think that this is not a problem. Like, it's just a style. She used it in a video, and now we're taking cultural appropriation didn't even exist as a terminology 10 years ago. Now all we hear is cultural appropriation. Like, at this point, you have to understand the people that you think are the biggest utilizers of cultural appropriation are probably the least racist of people. I remember this one video of this black girl going off on a dreadhead white kid, just cursing him out and trying to pull his hair. I think you were on the panel with that video too.
I don't remember, but I definitely saw the video.
And we were discussing, it's like, you shouldn't, and you said, well, when you go to the point where you lay your hands on someone, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why? That's the kid that's not racist, you know? That's the kid that's not
I don't
the least
understand how
amount
that story
racist.
equates to him not being racist.
Because in my experience, it's these people that are just, they're just millennials. Like, we've put out there all this work in order for everyone to use it within reason. And at some point, everything we do is a form of cultural appropriation. It's not like you should apologize for eating Chinese food at a Chinese restaurant, because that's technically cultural appropriation. That's their
And it's delicious.
And it's delicious.
That's not appropriating. That's enjoy. Okay, let's make clear the difference between appropriation and trying to learn or take part in another person's culture. Right?
Are you taking part in, can I get a number 3 with fried rice? What are you taking part in? That is us just going, give me the Cliff Notes version of your culture, even though it's not even real, that you made up for my enjoyment. I'm going to use it, and then
But if I go to people
eat a
selling
fortune
food
cookie.
and I exchange money for a food product, it's not appropriation.
So
That's different than walking in there wearing a kimono and wooden shoes.
What would be different is if I was going to go into a kitchen and say, I'm about to make you authentic Chinese food, but I've never taken a class, I've never read a book, I've just once ate the food, and I was like, no, it's pretty good, and chicken is chicken, I got this, step aside, I'm gonna make the best
That's
Chinese
not what
food.
she did. So you're saying if she had a black hairdresser, it'd be fine?
I'm not we're not to Demi Lovato yet. I just want to make clear the difference.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about this. This
just
is
because that kid had hands laid on him doesn't make him not a racist. Was it too far?
No, what I'm saying is that kid was just this kid. He was like, hey, when he talked, you can listen, and that's the thing I think forgets, is we forget intent. You have to hear individual. Like we hate being grouped, and then you also don't want to do anything for individuals. This kid was like, hey, I'm a peaceful guy. I just really love Bob Marley and his music. And
Can we all just get along?
Yeah, he was just like,
Get you with the Rodney
I
King?
don't know, like I'm not.
Here's where I stand with
this
Jess.
person.
It's hard for me to say a hairstyle is cultural appropriation. Scarves, different ways you tie your hair can for sure be cultural appropriation. But as far as a hairstyle, I have a hard time cutting that because we know that like Vikings wore dread. Different cultures have worn dreads for a long period of time. It's basically just knotted up hair. My problem comes not in Demi Lovato's initial choice, but in her non-apology or she responded to her critics poorly. Especially when in a press community comes to you and says, hey, I have an issue with something you did, you being like, fuck you, I like what I have, is not the way to handle it. It's not the way to
think it is. I actually appreciate that she didn't apologize. I hate when people do stuff and then apologize. Don't take it back. If you do it, stand by it. Just be like,
it's not
okay.
about a canned apology. It's about like, hey, like it's fine if she's like, I don't care what you have to say. I did this and I'm happy with it. That's completely fine. But then don't also pretend to be like, I'm this kind of person who likes to reach out and hear other communities and I respect and care about these things. You don't. That's fine too. But don't try to play both sides of the card.
Wait, doesn't she though? It seems like she does try to embrace as many different cultures. She's huge in the LGBTQ
She does.
culture. You know that. Her name is Demetria, so you made fun of the name Demi, which I understand the joke, but she's Demetria, so she's a Mexican American. She came from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So to me, I just this matches up to everything she's been through in her life with her drug use, with her knowledge of who she is as an entertainer and how she kind of fell off.
And she's been very honest about stuff like I slept with this person to get here. And
I just don't want to use like Tehran was saying. I don't want to overuse appropriation when it is necessary in other instances.
Exactly.
I have sat here
exactly
teeter-tottering because I'm like, you're not black, stop doing the dreads. But the statement about the Vikings opens this thing up quite a bit.
Yeah, but what about
For
rap music and
exactly? She's not. I don't feel like she's Katy Perrying with these dreads. I think it's okay for Demi Lovato.
I think we need to just stop crying wolf every single time and focus on clear-cut examples and then focus on that. Because when we do this so much, then it becomes unimportant. It's like, oh, we're always saying this. At this point, it's like anything. I remember there was a spray painting on a college campus where it's like, white girls stop wearing hoop earrings. That's cultural appropriation. Like, now we're pushing the envelope. Do you want to be...
Okay, I'm going to interject on behalf of, like, what I think people are trying to do, because I agree with you. Picking your fights is really important, especially when you're trying to make a message to people where the message is already muddled. People are confused. They're like, why is this
agree
cultural
with picking your fights?
I do.
Oh,
you're exhausting, and I'm not going to have this fight with you today. But I think that it's important to say, like, when black women wear hoop earrings, like, that's ghetto and it's gross. When black people have dreads in their hair, you cannot come to school. You need to shave your head. You can't get a job.
Twerking is gross.
Exactly.
It's obscene.
That's the thing. So when people call out white passing or white individuals and say, hey, you're wearing my culture and you're getting away with it and it's considered high fashion now.
Hold, please. Are you mad at the person that's doing it or the people that are making those comments? Shouldn't we talk to hey, how come you felt that when she did it it's okay, but when I did it it's this? That's the person who's the problem. It's not the person who's actually doing things. The person who's doing things is just following a trend. The person who has the comment is the person who's the judgment. And that's where we need to stop is how about we just let people live their lives, like stop being the judger and saying, oh, this is ratchet, but this is trendy.
I think when people like
when
Demi Lovato,
everybody's
who have
doing
a huge young fan base, it's great to bring up these things in conversation. Now, again, the internet is a crazy place, and sometimes people get like verbally violent or threaten physical violence. That shit's not cool. But I do think it's important that the conversations are had, and when you have a spotlight and when you do things that have been very publicly denounced, like, hey, it's weird to see non-black people in dreads for us. And you're not going to initially have a conversation about that, or you're not going to try to embrace the hairstyle in a way that is maybe more authentic to your culture.
If Demi Lovato wearing this makes it easier for African American children,
But it doesn't.
who culturally
I
have
don't think
dreads.
it does. I just think that this is what millennials do. Like, everyone's cultural appropriating every
I'm
culture.
okay with it.
There's black kids who skate now, and I think that's it
Black
was
kids
very
have
cool.
been skating,
Yeah,
though.
but see, here's the thing.
Not
But
like
before
this.
it was like white, and now it's been like everyone skate. When I was a kid, and I was like,
I was
skateboards
saying
are
rock
cool.
music was white, like, or that like punk rock was white. It's not. It's just black culture got erased from it.
Well, the
In the
majority,
retelling of the story.
and black people had a lot to do with it because if you were a black kid who listened to rock, you were the white kid. So it's not like black people.
Yeah, I read
don't
that in the Jimi
perpetuate
Hendrix
that.
story. He actually battled with that his entire
A lot.
career.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He had to go to London to just have his
Exactly.
music respected first before
Because
saying
all
it's a
the
black guy playing.
The black people were the first ones who were his adversaries. So it's not just like, oh, white people are doing it. We're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah,
We
it's just white
perpetuate a lot
people.
of things. So with the skateboard thing, that's a form of cultural appropriation because we always thought typically that was a white thing. That was a Z-boy thing from California. Most of them are white. One of them was Hispanic. So then,
According to the movie.
no.
No, just life. Just there's
Dogs-
just one
I mean, no,
Hispanic
that's
dude
just-
skateboarding.
No, at that time, I mean,
Okay.
the story is the story.
Okay.
You're talking about Lords of Dogtown.
Yeah.
The movie, yeah. There's actually that's based on a book.
No,
it's
I know.
based on Peralta and everything. And I mean, that's just the way it worked, you know. So it's not like there
You
were
don't
like
need any echinacea.
there was a whole.
You don't need any ginkgo
I
biloba.
just remember all.
You can remember
read a
the
lot.
book and Peralta.
I remember
Remembering
I read a lot.
Juju on the beat is not important.
But here, I would love to be able to remember Juju on the beat. So the concept is we're all in some way when we're wearing these skinny jeans and we're all blending. Like, don't we want to blend? What do you do? What do you say to a mixed kid? Because I know the rapper Logic goes through a lot of stuff all the time because he's mixed.
But he's white
Black and white,
passing.
but he's white passing. So, and I remember that.
That's like Mariah Carey too. When she was coming up, no one necessarily.
Yeah, but Mariah Carey didn't hit enough black guys for us to be okay with it. Like,
Well,
we all try to smash, and then
I think she
went.
made a clear statement
Yeah.
when she let ODB feature on a song.
She made a statement with that, but she didn't let ODB hit. Now, I think she let Cam
mean-
hit, which made it okay.
I think ODB hit.
I hope
What?
he hit.
Ew, no.
Me and Mariah
Yeah.
go back like babies and pacifiers. And what do babies do to pacifiers?
Suck 'em.
Metaphor.
So what I'm saying is
Hey
this.
Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, I'm gonna throw out the fact that ODB back then the day was mumble rap, and people don't remember that. So back, like that's real true.
That's real.
Like everybody wants to talk about these dudes now. Just remember that day. Don't.
Yeah, but there was a
glorify
time when
it.
ODB style was ODB style.
Sure.
Now it's like this mumble rapping thing. If you ain't mumble rapping, ain't nobody even trying to listen to it.
It's true.
That is. I mean,
I know a guy who just started making music and walked right into the booth mumble rapping. I'm like, you need your own voice.
yeah, of course. But people have always copied. Anyway, back to. But that's the thing is we copy. That's where all this. And
Copying
This is
frustrates
hold
me.
on, but this is the
Maybe that's where we
age-
just. Maybe that's just
the
where
age
we.
of copiers.
Maybe
No,
that's just
no.
where
This
we.
is the country of copiers.
Sure.
America is just a giant melting pot of like we take from each other, and I
But
think that's completely valid.
Let's also not forget, like the rest of the world just copies what America does. On top of that,
Well, we
which makes
sell,
it's like
we sell their art
it
back
out.
to them.
Yeah,
We're like,
we sell it
we
back.
American
We FUBU
processed
everyone.
it. Enjoy it.
Fat Farm still has a huge, huge fan base in
FUBU
Germany.
too.
FUBU's killing it in China right now. They're like, in
It's
Japan,
for us,
someone's like,
by us.
Arigato,
Life is
FUBU.
crazy.
Like, yo. So my thing is, I'm not a fan of cultural appropriation when it's extreme and when it's extreme and negative. Not at all. Now I do understand your point about how she handled it because her first tweet.
It's piss poor.
Her first tweet of "It's not dreads, it's twists." She could have been if she had clarified that more. Maybe I don't know. I'm not in her situation because I had no problems with her second tweet, which was, "But they looked effing rad anyway." That was to me. She should have led with that. But they
Right, because
looked
she just said,
fucking
I like
amazing.
these aesthetically so much that I did it.
Exactly.
I
It
don't
just
care
meant, like,
about
I
all
don't
that
care
other
what you
stuff.
think.
It just is so dope. I did it. And I can appreciate that on a certain level.
Can I throw
but
in
I
another-
I want for her to have an understanding of what she's wearing. Why she's wearing it, why it was worn, so that it makes sense to do. I don't
This
need
is
her
what
to be
I'm saying.
Bob and Ziggy Marley.
Because a few months ago we saw this with Marc Jacobs when they had
I missed that.
No, it was definitely Marc Jacobs.
Yes.
There was a Marc Jacobs fall line where he sent all white models down with dreads. They were faux dreads, sew-ins essentially. And it was frustrating because Mark was like, I don't care. I did what I wanted to. It's my fashion sense. But at the same time, like Mark, you could have easily hired women of color to wear these clothes.
True,
It's
and in that
frustrating.
case, I was like, that's not, because it came out in negative and it was extreme. Like that was negative and extreme, and this person had the intent. The intent was to whitewash dreads. Demi Lovato's intent was to look bad, and she did. And here's the thing, and my concern
Bad
with
in
what
a
you
good
said
way.
is that now you're like, oh, the artist should speak up about it and talk about it. But the other week when I was saying like, us black people, we need to all be spokespeople and be responsible. You were like, no, I don't agree with that. People need to do whatever
No,
they
I said
want.
what my problem was is that she was phony about it. Like, just if you want to
Who's
appropriate a
Demi?
culture,
Demi?
you don't have. If you're gonna appropriate a culture, just straight up do it. Like, don't do, and then, but also don't then say like, but what I really care about is how your culture feels, because you don't. Like, if you don't want to have the conversations, if you don't want to listen when people speak up and say, hey, I don't like this, if your response is, but I do, so screw you, which again is totally within your right to do, don't then turn around and say, but I really care about your culture.
Can
'cause
I
you
say
don't.
something?
You
about
don't like
that,
people
though?
playing both sides of the,
I
of the
don't.
fence. You're like, if you're gonna just do it, just be the asshole that does it.
Yeah.
Don't
know-
then come back and be like, but I am aware of the issues. And
There
da, da,
are
da.
people
I don't want to
from the
see your
islands-
press release after acting like you were all.
But there are people from the islands that don't think that Black Americans should be allowed to wear dreads and do all this
That's
stuff. as
again
well.
totally fair.
And we would never be like, well, hey Quavo, why do you got dreads? Hey 2 Chainz.
But we definitely should.
You know, but that's the thing, like, we don't though. We don't. And we don't even, it's not even a conversation. There's no conversation about that at all. And there are people that are like, I'm a roster.
Until Wavo and Wu Chainz do it, it's not that far of a stretch.
So
Okay, everybody on the way to this country had to go through the Caribbean on that slave route. So hairstyles and other food and things like that and cultural things came along with us to this country.
not everyone. There was a great post stop in Virginia.
Tell you
Trust
something.
me, I know.
2 Chainz and Future.
A post-op.
Yeah.
That's real. So my thing
I wonder if there's another way we could answer that though, because the way social media is very like yes, no, it's either all the way apologizing or all the way negative. I remember years ago, way before social media, Gwen Stefani, they were asking her about her Hispanic cultural. Why y'all laugh? Hispanic cultural. Like she'd wear the Dickies, the Ben Davis. That was Anaheim,
Sure.
California, and she would just always say, "Oh, I just kind of always respected and loved the homegirl vibe." And I just, she said it meekly, but she said I just appreciate it, and nobody grilled her about that because she
And
said,
see,
her
that
last name
appreciation
is
is what
Laura.
was missing.
No, Gwen
No,
Stefani.
Gwen Stefani.
But here's the problem with Gwen Stefani. That also happened 15 years ago where we weren't throwing around words like cultural appropriation.
And you should
So-
hear black women talk and Asian women talk about Gwen Stefani now. They have a real disdain for her because she took an entire Japanese like culture
Look,
of Harajuku.
and people are like, hey, they loved her then and they would
Well,
have
that's
hated her
no. My
today.
bigger point, guys, is it damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah,
Because back
in
when
a lot
Gwen
of
did it,
ways.
when Gwen did that back in 2000 something, it was like that was a great answer. Nobody got crazy. But now with social, you were turning into one or two answers.
I
I
think-
hate you, screw you. This is what I'm doing, or oh, I'm sorry, I'm backpedaling.
No, I
That's
think
not
I
fair.
think Gwen Stefani's answer works today as well as far as you looking for a mid-ground answer that's safe. If you show an appreciation for it and an understanding, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but
Versus her continuing on and doing the whole Harajuku thing without any understanding. Now, mind you, all of this is better than what's the girl from Hunger Games?
Jennifer.
When she
Lawrence,
sat
when
on that
when
rock-
she said, now that
shit was
was
crazy.
Outrageous.
That
That
was
was
racist. Like
crazy.
here's the thing with when it comes to first of all, Jennifer Lawrence, that was craziness. That was, and I loved her. And honestly, after watching that interview, I
I
still
think a
love
lot
her,
of people were
but
done with her.
I'll still hit, but not.
course you would look at
but
that
now
body,
with
but-
anger, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like this one's for slavery.
This one's for the rock.
Can you
This
have sex
one's
with a
for
white
Hawaii.
woman?
This one's for
Yo.
Moana.
Honolulu, bitch. Like
Oh,
I'll be
no.
in there. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all
Mock that, Jay.
Yo.
crazy.
So
Huh?
mock that J.
Huh?
Mock that J. Not
Oh,
as
I
good
can't
as
stand either
not
of
as good
you.
as his. But
I don't know.
yeah, that was it though.
Was it?
So
Yeah.
okay,
Totally.
black girl
Oh
nerd.
yeah, I read the books. What's up?
You didn't even have to
the
lick
books
your
were
lips
great.
to do that. You just fired it off.
With Demi Lovato, I tend to appreciate her a little more. When Gwyneth Paltrow does nothing that's culturally appropriating,
Right.
people get mad at her. She's like, I'm white, I think white, I'm so white, and I write white. By the way, I only eat kale. Like she says, she's like, what do you mean you don't jog at 6?
That's not why people
I swim
are
in
mad.
my pool. And like she acts as white as we think a white person should. And then we get mad at her for not being conscious.
No, that's not why people are mad at Gwyneth. People are upset with Gwyneth.
Stay woke.
Because then she turns to moms and goes, and you can do this too, without realizing like.
But she was only
you can
talking
only
to
do
white
this
moms
because
in
you're
her-
so privileged.
But she only was talking to privileged moms. Like other moms picked up on her. She's like, I didn't even know they read.
I do
Like,
feel a
she
little
was
bit bad
so
for Gwyneth Paltrow because she's just so easy to hate on.
Easy to hate on.
It is easy to just be like, F you, Gwyneth Paltrow.
And to see another
she's a
side
person.
of
She's
this,
a human
to
being.
see another side of this, we also, to me, a lot of this kind of stuff, this pointing finger stuff, is why we look at someone like President Trump being elected. Because as a socioeconomically poor white person, you don't feel as if you're privileged, and then we're sitting there going, you're privileged and slavery, and we're pointing, and they're like, well, you know what? F that. I don't want to feel this anymore. Because I feel guilty all the time for something I didn't do, and they want to like, well, I'm gonna be this, and it pushes.
There's an interesting episode on Dear White People, the series, where Gabe kind of deals with similar issues to what you're talking about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had always been like, wow, where does that person sit in this space? You know, where does
And, they sit in the
do a
middle
whole
of
episode.
America, and they sit in the middle of America. And the interesting is the exact same symptom that we see causing that is also the exact same problematic symptom that's creating ISIS in the Middle East and terrorism, because it's like I was a normal Muslim, and then you kept telling me how bad I was. Now I'm even more Muslim, and I've seen that shift in the Middle East because of that.
Not
to be
radicalizing.
honest. We are creating and projecting and self-fulfilling a prophecy that we created, saying these people are this, and then you're creating more this by doing these actions. Let's go in and bomb. Now we are creating the enemy that we did not actually initially have. It's like I see the same thing with girls.
At this percentage.
Exactly.
At this amount. Yeah.
Like I do the same thing with girls. A girl, she'll be like, "Are we good?" I'll be like, "Yeah, we're good." "Are you sure?" "Yeah, we're good." "But are you sure?" Like I feel like we're good.
Now we're
no,
not
but
good
now
anymore.
we're not good. Like we were good, but now because you kept doing this to me, we're not good. It's like the same. You're pushing, and we're pushing. Like we're pushing. Now there is real cultural appropriation that goes on. There is. There are real people, on Wild 'N Out, for example. There's a couple cultural appropriators.
You don't even have to look that far.
But-
You can look straight to the Twitter and how many people I'm just gonna say black women because that's who I follow on Twitter. But black women on Twitter write these amazing threads, coming with receipts about whether pop culture issues or political issues, and then whole articles just rise out of the ashes of their Twitter with a new shiny name at the top. Like
Carolyn.
it happens all the time. It would be a
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
So
All right, so we have time for one more story. I'm going to
let's
segue
finish
into
it.
it.
We'll finish it up.
Yeah. So, but we're definitely talking about this next one.
Yes, this affects us.
Story number 3. David Letterman,
Oh boy.
retired legendary night host and current recluse, has come out of hiding to make the statement that he believes Amy Schumer is the new Richard Pryor.
Tough pill to swallow.
Well,
This coming off a controversial joke Schumer made regarding black penises and the movie Get Out, which she states her experience with the large black uncircumcised penis and should have been the actual premise of the movie Get Out.
Yeah, she had a joke where she basically says that should be the premise of the movie Get Out is, a white girl being in contact with a big old black dick.
Like the dick is the monster
and
of the movie?
and you
So
have
that's
Get Out.
the sunken place?
Get Out. And so
So it's other white people trying to wake white girls up?
for her. And I mean, it was a joke. And I understand why it's funny, and I understand where it comes from. Do I like the joke personally? No, I
I don't mind the joke at all.
I don't really.
Listen, the joke is not the issue for this story. I don't care. Everybody has jokes about different stuff. Get Out was the #1 domestic movie in history, I believe. So we should all have something, or at least.
No. I don't like the joke because of the way she says it.
We are not going to
You know
burn
what I'm
this
saying?
time up talking about this joke. The issue is the relation and correlation made to her being the new Richard Pryor.
That was a bit much. Now, we want to talk about cultural appropriation or whatever we want to talk about. This is David Letterman, who's never made a statement like this about any other comedian that's come out. And if he had said Chris D'Elia is the new Dane Cook, I wouldn't even miss her. It wouldn't be a thing.
Does Chris D'Elia have hella premises that don't punch over?
So
Dan Cook's a dope dude. Told me I had a good set last show I did with him.
Great guy.
But if that's the relation,
No, but Crystalia does this like kind of douchebag humor, and that was like the Dane Cook
yeah,
lane.
that's the lane on
right?
purpose.
The
That's
lane,
the lane on
the
purpose.
lane on this is
I mean,
girls,
his logo is 2 middle fingers. Like one middle finger's not enough.
Exactly. So I have no problems with that. But to say that Amy Schumer, who has by the way been alleged to have taken jokes from black comedians, is the new Richard Pryor, that's blasphemous in comedy.
And it feels reductive of Pryor's career. This idea
100%.
that like, oh, she made a controversial race joke, so clearly she's the next Richard Pryor. When it completely erases how he marketed, cornered, and rebuilt the sales of comedic albums. It completely ignores how he uplifted the black community. Like,
Richard Pryor is the only comedian to star in a Superman movie.
That is true.
On the cover
Of
the movie to sell it was Richard Pryor.
Talks about sucking dick, and it's still okay because he's Richard Pryor. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Pryor made modern day comedy, especially modern day. And all the comedians that come after him come from the school of Richard Pryor. Now, Red Fox was right in that lane 100%, but Richard
But not
Pryor
like Richard.
took it to
you
the
have
next level.
You have the entire history of comedy.
Took it to the next level.
And then there was Richard Pryor.
Exactly.
And
Richard
everything
Pryor.
after that is because of Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. So whenever you see a Chappelle or Chris Rock,
but this is the thing.
Pryor.
People have to do their research to look at comedy prior to Richard Pryor to understand
Especially black comedy.
what he did to it.
Exactly, to make it cross over. Before Richard Pryor, the only type of black comedy that ever crossed over into what we call mainstream, but really just mean white society, it was Bill Cosby. There was no other.
The reason Richard is so incredible is because you can look at the beginning of his career and see where he made his own transition. Richard Pryor started out not cussing and clean.
He started Bill Cosby. And
Exactly
then
like
changed.
Bill Cosby. And then had his epiphany and said, I'm going to do this my way.
100%.
And from then on, the way a person, an entertainer, shares on stage and what they're willing to say to the people has changed. Everything has changed from there. What a person is willing to tell you about.
And what they're able to say, how far they go.
Yes, without
On
being
stage.
without being censored, without being corralled by their people, without you know what I mean. Now you can hear about you can watch Cat Williams get in trouble in the law,
100%.
and you know if you go buy those tickets, you're about to hear that story.
Exactly, because you
You know he's
going
gonna
to
talk about that little boy that choked him
possible.
out, and he's gonna make it hysterical, and you're gonna get his side.
Personal as possible. Before it was like, take my wife. Please, I take my wife everywhere I go. She keeps coming back. Like that was the line of comedy, and now
Yeah. He changed
Storytelling,
the entire
premise.
game. I don't understand what she's changing by saying that.
Well,
Maybe he's saying it was controversial and that she was fearless enough to say it, but I don't see what it changes.
she's taking female comedy up to a different plateau. But then I see Whitney Cummings
How?
and Sarah
Yes.
Silverman.
That's
There's-
so funny. That's
Even
Even
exact-
more
I
than
was
that,
just
you got
gonna-
Paula Bell. You have women who
Exactly, like, taking
who
it to the-
Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi
Ali
Goldberg.
Wong.
No,
Whoopi
let's
freaking
go back.
Goldberg.
Whoopi
Well,
Goldberg.
No, but I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about because Whoopi. Listen,
Yeah, but Whoopi
I
makes
love Whoopi
Whoopi's
Goldberg.
what Whoopi did with her platform
don't-
with a one-woman show makes Chelsea makes this chick possible.
yeah, but hold on. Can we just? I love you, Whoopi Goldberg. I have always loved you. I watched Jumping Jack Flash.
The kangaroo.
I watched Ghost. I love you. No, Jumping Jack Flash.
You didn't even
was-
say her best movie.
Is it Sister Act?
It's Eddie, where she got to coach the New York Knicks and she played opposite
Listen,
John Sally
I used
and
to-
all the NBA stars
I don't want to admit to this, but I used to watch Eddie.
with Crocs on,
No,
naked.
I love you. Whoopi. I love me some Whoopi, bro.
And that is the joke of the day.
That's not even, that was the realest thing I've ever said. And without Richard Pryor, I wouldn't even be able to admit this on a platform. So.
Here's the thing. I think Amy Schumer's doing great things.
She's
I
doing
think
great.
she's a trendsetter and she's doing her
Trendsetter.
thing. But
Doing
there's a
her thing.
certain amount of trend setting that it takes to even equate the two things. For that,
Richard Pryor's a legend.
David Letterman gets my ticket. If I had a ticket for taking your ass back into reclusion, he can have my ticket.
100%. Can we just do story number 4 real quick because it's so relevant right now?
Can't.
Let's just get out of the way.
Tiger Woods is back in negative news after his DUI arrest this week, in which he allegedly was driving drunk in Jupiter, Florida. Woods refused breathalyzer and was booked at the county jail. Woods made a statement saying that alcohol did not play a part and that an unexpected reaction to prescription drugs was to blame. It's a black-ass answer.
Yeah, not even that. Nigga, you rich. Hire a driver. Why are you not? First of all, I was mad at you when you didn't have a second cell phone. Okay? When you didn't have a second cell phone. You knew what you were doing.
He just
You
wants
had
to
it
be
on your
regular,
phone.
guys.
Like, yo, for a guy who hates being called black, you're doing a lot of
black
I
stuff.
want to know
nigga
what
things,
prescription
bro.
drug is
Definitely
responsible
stop
for his eyelid on our right side, his
If
left.
he's on any kind of
it's
muscle
called Jack Beam.
relaxant,
It's called
shut
Jack
up.
Beam.
Jim Beam?
Jimmy Beam. Yeah, Jim Beam. Jack
Look
Walker.
at the eyeball.
Johnny Walker.
It could just.
That's
Tiger,
Johnny
has,
Walker.
but listen, Tiger has been through so much, and what I found frustrating was people that in Black Twitter or Blackagram, whatever you call it, that are like, all this time you said you was Kablasian, now look at you, it says black on you. I get upset by that because for the majority of his career, black people have not had his back, have not supported him, have not brought him in, have not done anything to say, hey, you are one of us, regardless of
No, but they
Hold
tried. He
on.
decided no.
Regardless of him saying, don't put that black arm around me. We haven't had his back like that. So then wait. So then don't jump out and be like, told you so. Ha ha.
Wait. Like when Tiger first started winning awards,
We
people
were
were
like,
like, "There's a black
black
man
guy,
on the
we
course."
loved him.
When he started breaking
And then
lines,
he
Yeah,
did
that was all
us.
fine and good until Dave Chappelle did the race skit and completely wiped all that off the face of the earth by saying
And he was right,
Asians
you-
can have Tiger Woods
you
back.
can't have
Because
him. He does not
said it
embrace
first.
us as a community.
He said it first. He was like,
So do you
I'm
think
not
kicking
black.
him while
I'm-
he's down is reasonable?
No,
To
I
say
don't-
that's what you
because
get.
I don't think that he was drunk. If you read the entire article, he said that he was like behind the wheel. It's 3 a.m., but the car is just running. He's not driving it. He's like he fell asleep behind the wheel.
And still, drunk
of
people
a-
do that. And he refused a breathalyzer, and that was the thing. First of all, refusing a breathalyzer in a lot of cases is just as bad as a DUI.
It makes you an automatic DUI in a lot of places.
Basically, refusal is its own crime. Second of all,
He'll beat it in court.
won't beat it in court. He's gonna have to do some type of time. He knows what painkillers are. He's been through prescription before.
That part.
And sitting in the car legally, even if you're drunk and you're falling
Gotta
asleep
drop
in the
the
car,
keys outside.
the keys cannot be in the car or in the ignition. They can be in the car, but they have to be in the console. I mean, there's a lot of rules to it, and we know it. So you're smart. You're rich. You can afford good friends. You know what I'm saying? Pay me. I will follow you. I will be your caddy. I will be
Right.
your daddy. You know what I'm saying?
I will lure all the white
Please.
women to you. It's fine.
You don't
I'm
even
just
need to
gonna-
pay anybody. Just stop acting Asian.
Whoa. Why you gotta cock block me with a job, bro?
You want to get the job? Fine. Stop acting Asian.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, you're black. You don't have the benefit of the doubt to act like you're another race.
And it said black on his little arrest report. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So-
But I felt like it was a little two-faced by the internet.
Yeah.
Kicking a man while he's that far down.
It's
Be
the
down.
internet.
Because he
Poor
earned
Tiger.
it. But look,
else do you expect?
he's got a Trump factor to it where he's kind of earning it himself with his arrogance and his cockiness about it. And now you don't got any friends after you told your friends to go away. So that's what it is. Would you like to
NateJacksonComedy.com, at Mr. Nate Jackson on social media.
at I am Tehran all across the board, at IAMTEHRAN, the bathrobe heartthrob, full effect.
I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackbeltnerds.com, and every Wednesday at Schmoes Know. If you guys watch Schmoes, you know Beardo. He's always in the booth. I went and did a show, Don't Be a Beardo. It was a super awesome conversation. He's a great guy. You can catch that on iTunes now.
And make sure you follow Kanisha is Comedy. That's our girl. She'll be back next week. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Like the channel, subscribe, leave
Tell
a
your
comment.
friends.
Holla at us. Headlines with
Oh,
headliners.
June 8th, Kanisha, Nate, Tehran, we're having a big show at the Laugh Factory. If you're in the LA area, come on down. All you got to do is say you're on Tehran's list and they'll give you a free ticket.
Blessings.
10 o'clock.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live. Scipio, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.